thinking of moving to Singapore with the family and you got questions. Well, let me try and answer them with questions of my own. My name is Simon. I'm a French-Canadian expat living in beautiful Singapore with my wife and 2 children. And I'm putting a bunch of videos together to chronicle the good, the bad, and the tasty. Tag along, man. We've got room for one more.
Okay, before we get into things, let me state my biases up front. I love Singapore. I love the vibe, I love the people, I love the food, I love everything about it.
I love your sugar.
I came over here a couple of years back on a business trip, and inside of the first hour, I was like, yeah, I gotta live here. But what works for me might not work for you. So, before you sign that contract or board that plane, these are the 10 questions you need to answer for yourself before moving your family over here.
1.
Do you like it hot?
Notice I said hot, not warm, right?
This might sound like a difference without a distinction, but warm is like walking along Waikiki Beach, Hawaii on a summer day, having to put on a hoodie at night because of the wind chill. That's warm.
But here in Singapore,
it is always above 30 Celsius with 100% humidity every day, every night. No break. It's like a baking oven out here, and I love it. Oh, and also,
thunderstorms, yeah!
2.
do you have a secure job lined up?
job security is important.
See, the way it works out here is that your employment pass is only valid for as long as you have a job, and your family's dependent passes are only valid for as long as you have an employment pass.
If you lose your job, you lose your employment pass, which means you lose your right to remain in a country.
You have a very small window in which you can find another job, otherwise you lose it all.
You and yours will get dusted out of here.
Well done.
Hopefully this awful Apple Store gets dusted as well.
3.
Are you making enough money?
That's outrageous.
This ain't none of your damn business. How about that?
And hold on, don't be insulted. It's a serious question.
Singapore is currently neck and neck with Hong Kong when it comes to high costs of living. So your good paying job might not be enough.
Literally everything but food in Singapore costs an arm and a leg.
Housing for a family of 4 or 5 is not cheap. Add the extra room to build your home office, add aircon, gas, electricity, and school fees, and thank your good fortune that Korean barbecue is not that expensive. Add the occasional bottle of sake on the rooftop with the boys, and yeah, you don't want to be strapped for cash out here.
How else are you supposed to shop at Marina Bay Sands?
Do you need to own a car?
Hell no, you don't need a car.
Unless your job provides you with one, I'd skip the car altogether and save a boatload of money. Just stick to public transport. The MRT is safe, it's quick, it's efficient, it's clean, and it'll get you to most places. And to get to any other remote corners, just hop in a bus. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only one doing that these days. And when you really feel lazy, you can always call yourself a taxi.
You talking to me?
It is unthinkable to live without a car in Canada, and in Singapore, we're doing just swell.
5.
Where to live, HDB or condo? Well, most expats that I know of have opted for that sweet, sweet condo lifestyle.
Present company included.
Most condos come with their own gym, a pretty view, multiple swimming pools, and all you have to do is to get downstairs and that's it. But they also cost a pretty penny, so you should consider the alternative as well. Most Singaporeans live in what they call HDBs, which are essentially big old apartment buildings ran by the government. They are definitely cheaper, but also more cramped together.
But that's not the only options you got.
Remember this particular playboy from my condo hunting video? Yeah, that's Cyril, and I've been helping him set up his own YouTube channel about real estate in Singapore. So over the past few weeks, he's been driving me around Singapore showing me a whole bunch of housing options I didn't even know existed. Wall-cup houses, landed houses, shop houses. There's a whole lot more of options out there that you need to consider. And if I had to do it all over again, I think I would go for this shop house right here. It is cavernous in here. And for the amount of extra space you get, you don't pay that much more than a condo.
Oh, baby!
6.
Do you really need a real estate agent?
Hell yeah, you need an agent.
See, the rules in Canada are simple. You only need an agent to help you buy or sell a house. And even then, you don't really need one. But in Singapore, the rules are stacked against you. And if you don't know what you're doing, you are gonna get played. This is why you want an agent.
I'll do you one better. You need this agent.
Hello everyone.
Here's a secret that Cyril told me. All the best deals never make it up online. They travel through word of mouth from agent to agent. So if you want the best deals available on any given day before they ever make it online, you need a guy like Cyril with his fingers on the real estate pulse.
Gotcha!
I gotta say, he's not the cheapest agent out there, but talent's gotta get paid.
But for a one-time fee, you get the best.
So when you're ready to find that home away from home, just send this guy an email.
Hey, tell him I sent you.
Because it's you.
7.
Send the kids to private or public school.
Education standards are super high in Singapore, so essentially, there are no bad answers here.
The quality of learning and teaching and extracurricular stuff is pretty much the same across the board. Quality is not a factor here.
But again, the devil is in the details, right?
The public system prioritizes local kids over immigrants, as they should. But that means that sometimes you could wait years before your kids get into school.
We went private for Ariel at the Canadian International School.
This way, we were pretty much guaranteed a spot. Plus, the school is set in Jurong, and it helped us a lot define which neighborhood we wanted to live in. Quick tour of the facilities, plenty of room to run around, a library big enough to literally lose yourself into, great Singaporean teaching curriculums, and an art class that Ariel could absolutely not wait to get herself into. Good show.
But they still follow Singapore standards, not Canadian standards, which is good.
Plus, the kids coming here come from all around the world, and not just Canada.
Honestly, the only thing Canadian about that school, except the name, is the fact that kids play deck hockey every now and again.
Violence is never a good option, except in hockey, where most of the time it is.
8.
Should you bring the family pet to Singapore?
On the one hand, I believe that owning a pet is an important responsibility and they are not to be discarded on the first whim or because you're moving halfway across the world.
Oh, testify!
On the other hand, the process to bring a dog over in Singapore is costly, it's time-consuming, and it's complicated.
The family puppy will have to undergo a series of vaccines, blood tests, parasite screening. The vet will have to attest about your dog's overall condition and health. He's going to have to install a microchip under the skin. Depending on the results, your dog might be held for up to 10 weeks of quarantine once you get over there.
Also, and that is important, if any one of the steps are not followed correctly, when your pet gets on a tarmac,
I'm sorry, Sparky.
but in true Singaporean fashion, you'll still have to pay the fees for the quarantine that your pet will not have to go to anymore, because, you know.
Sparky!
See you in a month, okay? Yeah.
So, what about our boy Maverick? He was initially supposed to join us in Singapore 1 month after our departure, but the entire world shut down in 2020 and there was just no way to get him to us in time. The protocol ran its course and we had to start all over again, and we did. All the tests and vaccines a second time, and still, 12 months later, there is no practical way to fly him into us. He is still in Canada. Man, I hope it's not the last time I see my boy.
All this to say, hard-learned lesson, if you're gonna bring your pet to Singapore, and you should, do it 5 months in advance, get through the entire thing, make sure your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, and every sentence ends with a period.
Otherwise, you might be in for some painful goodbyes. Maybe stick to the end for a little bit of a pick-me-up, alright?
9.
Yo, how safe is Singapore?
Great news! That part you don't have to worry about. Singapore is extremely secure.
You and your family can walk around the city day or night. No violence, no petty crime, no problem.
Granted, this is from the perspective of a tall, white, bald dude with a mean face. So I don't have to deal with all the stuff that a lady would have to deal with.
But the vibe in Singapore is pretty laid back. People are in a hurry, but they're just not jerks about it. Fair warning though, the Tekka Center in Little India, I'm told, is no place for a lady to visit alone. Not that it's dangerous, mind you, more like uneasy. But other than that one staring contest I had with this dude visiting a condo, I have not had any bad encounters in over 12 months, and I have no qualms taking the kids out for a stroll even at night.
But beyond COVID, which we all have to deal with, there's always the possibility of getting dengue fever or yellow fever. Look it up, it's horrible.
It's a mosquito-borne tropical virus mostly transmitted during the day. So before you head out the door,
Mosquito repellent, and you're good to go.
Worth mentioning that Singapore spends an enormous amount of resources every week fumigating the hell out of mosquitoes to keep dengue fever number as low as possible.
But if you're like me and your happiness depends on you getting off the beaten path and heading into the woods every now and again, there might be some other critters you need to worry about.
You know, box jellyfish, pit vipers, spitting cobras. Oh, and lest we forget, my buddies, they're saltwater crocodiles.
I have seen the occasional cobra, but you know, if you stamp her off and are heavy enough, they're not gonna bother you. For crocodiles,
yeah, you might want to stand clear of the water's edge. But don't worry, the worst you're likely to see in the city is geckos, which means less spiders.
10.
Should you really get a helper?
what the hell is a helper? Essentially, it's a maid or a lady butler coming over, living with you and your family in your own home, and they do the cooking and they do the cleaning and they help taking the kids back and from school. They might go do the groceries for you and all of the menial tasks of life. It is well ingrained into Singaporean society that if you are moderately successful, it is a given that you'll have a helper helping you with the kids.
I suppose it all comes down from the old British colonial times, but it is so well ingrained that every condo, HDB or apartment you're gonna visit always have what they call a maid corner, which is generally no bigger than a broom closet, has no aircon and is tucked away in a corner next to the washing machine, has a tiny bathroom / shower just like in The Fifth Element, and in modern buildings they simply repurpose the bomb shelter concrete box. If you've ever wondered how it feels to live in a fishbowl, you can just ask a helper.
There is a ton of horrible stories out there from helpers being mistreated by bad people, most likely expats. It's that stupid white colonial genes that fires up, right?
Is there no decency?
But there is an equal amount of stories where helpers themselves are horrible, stealing money, mistreating your kids,
Watch your mouth, young man.
sleeping around with the master of the castle. The most likely scenario being under pressure of losing their employment pass if they don't.
Nope.
So for all these reasons and more, I suggest do look up helpers before you make your mind, but really, you don't need one.
Take that!
Hey, got time for one more? I got a bonus round. Singapore hardcore laws, truth or hype?
Well, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, really.
There are indeed a bunch of laws against spitting on the ground, eating on a subway, or taking a leak in the bush, all enforceable by hefty fines.
But here's an easy guiding principle. Treat everything in Singapore like you would your mom's living room. You wouldn't spit or take a leak in your mom's living room, would you? Goddamn monster.
And for all my fellow drone enthusiasts out there, just know that there are stringent rules about where and when you can fly a drone in Singapore. Always assume illegality.
So don't do it until you read up on it. And then it's probably illegal, so you won't do it anyway.
And then, of course, there are some pretty important social and cultural issues.
There are very strict laws against LGBTQ and stuff like that, which, come on Singapore, get with the times here.
Section 377A of the Old British Penal Code makes it illegal for two males to have sexual intercourse. Now that rule has not been enforced for a while, but it's still there. So if you and your partner are in a gay couple, or if one of your kids is LGBTQ, you might want to hold off on signing that deal just yet. Give it a bit of time. I'm sure Singapore will get there.
Whew, look at you. You made it all the way through. If you still have further questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below. I'll make sure to respond. If any one of the points I raised today were useful to you, go ahead and give me the old thumbs up. Yeah, boy! It always helps. Fair warning though, before you press that subscribe button, this is not the typical sorts of video that I make. Info dumps on how to immigrate to a country, that's kind of a special episode. If you are serious about moving here, or if you are already here, boy, do I got some videos for you. Alright, that's enough rambling. Whew, that's a long one. Hey, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around all the way through, and I'll catch you down the trail. Be a good human. Bye. So what about that little pick-me-up I was talking about? I don't know if we should tell him, boy.